Kick it, Pedro.
And we're live. Today, starting very stereotypical. Yeah, we got that.
All right. So that was the sort of the very famous intro music for The Godfather, but also for the very famous Anthony Gambino.
Oh, what's going on, fellas? I love it.
Yeah.
I love
famous around here. Are only the second guest to have a second appearance. So
Yeah.
Oh,
Exactly.
nice.
good.
I'm on.
And
Thanks
for
having me, guys.
our next guest, because we have two today, which is it's not very common.
All right.
Yeah,
Boom.
there we go. Booyah!
Anthony's partner in crime, Julius Freeman.
That was
Oh, yeah.
Hola, compadres. All right, that was an intro right there. That was an intro.
Very
You
nice.
got Julius jacked up.
Yeah.
Like it.
The stream. Let's talk about the stream. Yeah, come on.
I can feel the intensity. Very good.
Yeah, dude. Like, I had to like figure out that song on the fly, man. Like I didn't remember he had an intro song, but now I'm gonna play it for real. I'm gonna put this away.
Nice.
Very
I'm
cool.
glad to be a part of a little bit of inspiration for you, Pedro.
Oh yeah, dude. An ultimate
Think
warrior, man.
My favorite intro from that time period. Actually, it's got to be two. It's obviously going to be Hulk Hogan's "I Am a Real," right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
then for some reason, Macho Man Randy Savage went with "Pomp and
Oh, yeah.
Circumstance."
Oh yeah.
The graduation theme song. Da, da, da,
Yeah.
da, da. Which for Macho Man Randy Savage to be using that is like, did he graduate from Harvard?
Yeah.
His wrestling degree. I don't know.
Dude, I don't know. Like I remember like the weirdest things because he's not really that famous, but because he wore a coif or a coif, I don't know how to call that like chainmail on the head, big pop up.
Oh yeah, Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner. Yep.
Yeah, Scott Steiner used to wear that coif. That's what I remember. Like I'm not a big wrestling fan. Like I did watch it when I was a kid, but then a girl told me it was corny. And I wanted to get into them pants, so yeah, I left wrestling behind.
If that's all that you remember from Scott Steiner, then honestly, I mean, maybe the coif wasn't such a ridiculous decision in the first place.
Exactly.
Like, it's
I mean, I've come to appreciate wrestling now. That's what I like. I have this big gaping hole of wrestling, I don't know, awareness.
Yeah.
Same.
Because of a lady.
Big gaping
Screw you,
hole of
lady.
wrestling awareness. Sure.
Screw you. You
That's one
destroyed
thing I
my
never got
life.
into.
You know, I'm still a big fan of wrestling. I still watch it from time to time to this day.
Yeah.
That was my when I was dating my wife now.
Mhm.
In the beginning, it was like a weird little like, hey, I got something to tell you. I'm a And she's like, what? Really? Wrestling? It's like, yeah. I like it. I enjoy it. She's like, huh, okay.
Wow.
Why?
And that's a valid question.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I told her, hey, it's theatrics. I like it, and I like theatrics, so that's why I watch it.
Yeah, like I'll shoot right back. Like, do you enjoy telenovelas?
There you go. There you
I
go.
don't get Betty La Fea, but you seem glued to that TV.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Absolutely.
La Fea. Was that Ugly Betty you just said?
Yeah, Ugly Betty. Yeah, Ugly Betty. It's Betty La Fea. It was originally a Colombian story. Like I'm thinking about making at some point an action telenovela inspired comic book.
Not as funny.
Just
That's
because
funny
it's
as hell.
Nice.
Yeah, thinking about like Betty La Fea and Café con aroma de mujer, like it's very, very histrionic, like very like over the top. The acting, the zooms to the faces, like how to translate that into comic books. That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, but
Read.
that's not the reason we're here. Take it away, Ginge.
I mean, I could talk telenovelas all day, guys.
Yeah, exactly. I have
You look like you could.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah. That was
Okay.
very Latino, Ginge. Like,
Thank you, buddy. But okay, so no, we actually are here to discuss something. We got a new project from Anthony and Julius here, called Vigilant Fury. Let me go ahead and bring that up. It's in pre-launch. Usually we sort of start at the top with like a little bit about the creators, but we already know Anthony, so nobody's interested in finding out that information.
Yeah, you don't waste your time.
But no, Julius, we would like to sort of hear a little bit about you, and then sort of how the two of you guys got together, and then just we'll take it right into the book.
Sweet, yeah. I've been trying to break into the industry for a very long time, about 10 plus years, and when crowdfunding started coming up, actually when crowdfunding blew up, that's when I decided to finally get to seize the opportunity and actually produce my Ghetto Dragon comic book, which I did launch a few years ago. And it did relatively well, and I learned a lot from that first experience, the fulfillment and all that stuff. So what happened after that was the artist for the Ghetto Dragon couldn't finish the second book because he had other things he had to do. He had to go back to school. So then I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? And I started thinking about, okay, maybe it's time to not focus too much on the multiple story books, because the crowdfunding platform kind of it's a little tricky, right? And so I decided to do a one shot and developed a story called Vigilant Fury, and then Gambino heard about it and he gave me an offer I couldn't refuse. No, see, that's a bad Godfather joke.
No, this is what he's known for, apparently. It's in his genes.
No, but in all seriousness, I put out feelers on Twitter looking for an artist, and then Anthony he messaged me with his samples, some of his sample works, and I liked what I saw, and I was like, oh, cool, I like the style. It fits to what the story that I want to tell, because I liked his what really stuck out to me were his inks, like his black and whites. The style of his art too. It had a little bit of Eduardo Rizzo, kind of like a Frank Miller thing going. So I was like, all right, this is it. I think this guy's style is going to fit this story. And I pitched it to him, and he dug it. And as they say, the rest is history.
Hey.
Yeah, dude.
And here we are.
I like to think of Anthony as a young Mignola, really.
Dude.
With the styling,
Oh yeah, there you go. That's another one.
Yeah, and credit to Julius too, because the sample pages I gave him were a story that hasn't come out yet, but it was very it was like high fantasy stuff, which is not what Vigilant Fury is at all. So I was a little hesitant, like I didn't know how he would respond, because some writers, if they don't see like exactly what they're looking for. But again, credit to Julius for noticing that we can make it happen with a different type of story.
Oh yeah,
that's the thing with producers. Like maybe you'll see a sample that has nothing to do with the story you're writing, but you see the lines, you see how the artist handles shadows, you see how he handles anatomy, the storytelling. So you go like, okay, this is the guy who might fit what I want.
For sure.
And then there's like the second interview, and it's like, okay, dude, this is what we need. Are you interested? Because that's the other thing. You need an artist that enjoys what he's going to draw or is going to show on the page.
Yeah.
Yep. So, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, dude. Dude. So I'm very happy, dude. I've been waiting for Gambino doing sequentials. I mean, you did an art book before, right?
Yeah, that was kind of my little introduction into this whole world that I had no idea about until Rob was like, hey, come on my show and promote your stuff. Yeah. And actually, Rob sent me Julius's tweet. That's how I found out about Julius's project. Awesome. Yeah, he was like, hey, check this out. He's a good dude. He follows Blood Realm and a bunch of alternative stuff. So reach out to him and see if he's interested. And then I did, and Julius got back to me, and now we're here.
Very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I've been, the art book was good. Got me in the community. It got people aware of my work, which was kind of the goal.
Yeah, exactly.
And now it's head down and get to work.
Exactly, dude.
Even more.
Very, very excited.
And great work too, by the way. I can't wait for you guys to see the pages that we have in store. We're gonna preview a few pages, I think,
Yeah.
right? If I'm
Yeah.
not correct. Yeah.
Oh,
So
awesome.
Sweet.
I really can't wait for you guys to read this book. It's action packed, and it's right there. She has one chance to escape. The only thing in her way is an army of mercenaries. And this is kind of channeling a little bit of like Die Hard, not so much of the cop story, but more of the okay, I'm trapped here. I gotta find a way out, and I gotta use my head. I gotta use my wits, about me, and fight their way to freedom. And that's essentially what this story is about.
You mentioned Die Hard. Is she gonna be barefoot in the story?
Oh, dude. Yes, she is actually. Whoa, I didn't even think of that, dude.
Getting better at this. I'm getting better at this.
Dude, wow.
Sometimes
that's impressive, Pedro. That's impressive.
Funny.
Thank you, sir.
Holy shit. Yeah, man. I will say this too. If you guys, whoever's listening and watching, if you're a fan of the Ellen Ripley characters or Sarah Connor, that kind of archetype, you'll like this book.
Yeah,
awesome.
You will like
100%.
this book.
Yeah, man. That's the thing. Like presenting the strong woman archetype without saying men suck. It's something that's sorely needed right now.
100%.
Yeah, you could thank my wife for that one because she's the one who because when I was developing the story originally, it was supposed to be a male protagonist of the story.
Yeah.
And I developed the story, and it was not what the story is now. It was something similar, but it was still called Vigilant Fury. But I was still, developing the story and what have you. And then as I was finishing up, and I always like using my wife to gauge something that it works or doesn't work. And when I told her what I was developing, then she's like, "Hey, you're gonna maybe if you change it to a woman, it might be a lot more like suspenseful."
Yeah.
And I was like, "A woman?" I was like, "Oh." So okay, yeah, I think and then I started thinking about it, and then the more I started thinking about it, I was like, you know what? Yeah, let me try it. And then when I did, I had to change the entire story again because the dynamics changed and obviously, like I was telling Gambino the last time we spoke, is that it was essentially the male protagonist I was writing was a wolf fighting other wolves, right?
Yeah.
But now it's a fox fighting wolves. So it's like, okay, that is a lot better. That gives me a lot more leeway and room to really develop something really suspenseful and really great too. So again, I can't really. I'm excited for you guys to.
Great analogy. Great analogy.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's the thing. Like, it's not a matter of like competence within the sexes. It's just like the challenges are different.
Yeah.
And dude, it makes it like 70% more interesting now. Because okay, how is she gonna face a guy who's like 100 pounds?
Exactly.
100 pounds over her. Yeah, dude. Awesome. I love it. Very cool.
We're excited.
So
we're excited.
Are you designing these characters from scratch, Gambino, or do you get like any reference from Julius?
Julie sent me some references, and without giving too much away yet, I was able to do some research on the setting of the story, which is based in realism. So I was able to get some of the designs from that. But actually, this might be a good segue because I have a bunch of character designs in the document.
Oh, very cool.
In the preview document. So let me share.
Do it.
Share screen.
You definitely see the sort of Frank Miller kind of line work here a little bit.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Gambino handles shadows in a way that makes me want to eat food.
That makes you want to eat what?
That makes you want to what?
Food. It makes me want to eat. But when I see good, when I see good art, I get hungry. I've and
Oh, that's thank you. I don't
Spicy
do well with
meatball indeed.
Oh, that's funny you said that. All right, so here everyone has seen this little promo before.
Yeah.
We'll get into. We have 3 preview pages, and then a couple panels from another page, and then the character design. So here we go.
Oh, look at
Get
that,
a glimpse
man.
of the
Yeah.
artwork.
Oh.
This is a introduction to the main character and kind of the setting.
Nice.
Are you gonna offer a black and white variant of this book?
It's going to be in black and white.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be no colors.
It's
No
no
color.
color. No,
No
no
color.
color.
Yeah,
Could you
Oh, yeah.
sort of zoom in at the top and just kind of scroll down a little bit?
sure.
If you don't mind. Take it
We'll
in.
do that. Yeah, take it
Oh
in.
my
man.
god, look at
So
that.
you do all this physically too, right?
Mhm.
What do you mean?
Like
Yeah,
penciling
paper.
it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, pen and paper. Yeah, pen and paper.
My man.
Dude.
Yep.
I mean, look at that. I mean,
What about the
what I
shadows,
love.
man?
Yeah, what I love about your work, Anthony, is the fact that I like that you utilize the backgrounds. I mean, look at the guy taking a picture on the right side of the panel, and there's somebody on underneath the guy's chin, looking at their phone. I mean, everything is utilized in the panel, and I always love that about artists who do that when they draw their panels.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah, all the real estate is like taking into account storytelling.
Oh yeah,
setting the
absolutely.
mood of everything. So yeah, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a challenge that I kind of present to myself, and I think every artist should. I think it makes the work better too when you obviously have your focal points, but these little story B and story C, like this guy
Right.
taking a picture of her butt. You
Yeah.
see she's about to slap him, and then just for fun, like it's got nothing to do with the story, but I threw them in here too, like he's rubbing his head because he just got smacked. I like doing that. Those little
Very nice, bro.
those little things.
Very cool. Yeah, dude. That's just sequential art. The storytelling is on point.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude.
And then this is this starts playing. Sorry. Studying film and learning how to use angles to help tell a story and all that fun
Dude,
stuff.
the lighting on the last panel.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not reading it, but it feels like ominous. It's
Good. Well, yeah, good.
very, very like altered state. Like, remember that movie?
And when I was in school, one of the assignments we got was to do a short story with no words. So it really pushed us to tell stories without words as clearly as possible. And it was probably my favorite assignment ever. And then every time we had a comic assignment after that, I tried to do the same thing.
Awesome.
So it was
I'm watching that DJ Freeman.
Is that Gambino's lesson back there?
What
Is that
happened?
based on reality?
Gambino delicacy or what's that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
Gambino Deli.
Very
Very
nice, man.
nice. Very cool. You got the club scene.
Yeah.
And yeah, clubs are supposed to be dark, dude. Like I'm really
Yeah.
loving what you're doing with the lighting.
Thank you.
And even though you're like spotting like complete blacks, it's defining the shapes perfectly. So, dude, great job.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, this is my favorite right here. This is my favorite panel.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite panels too.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
A lot going on, and
Even-
again, like you were saying, Anthony, like it's important to when you develop comics, at least for me anyway, it's important to at least tell the story visually, and then of course the letters and the narration boxes and everything, that's extra, but if you could follow this without the word balloons, then that's enough to that's how I pick up a comic book now to this day. When I go to the comic book store, I skim through the pages and I skim through the panels first to see if can I follow the story, and if I can, then I buy the book and I read it, and then if it's good, then I'll come back to the next one.
Same, 100%, man.
Very nice.
Dude,
Yeah, I also liked his your facial expressions are great. Your body language. I mean, this is like perfect. Like
Yeah, dude.
like everything
For example, like the little decisions you take. For example, on the first panel of the group of three, the way the lady's leaning into the guy, like they're talking, it just tells me right away this is a loud club.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know
cool.
There
what
you
I
go.
mean? And it's within the storytelling, just the body positions, how you use proxemics, like what's close, what's far. Dude, very, very thoughtful, man.
Thank you,
lightened
man. I
it a
appreciate
lot.
that so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Let me.
What's your draw to black and white art, Anthony? Like, I mean, you seem to do it a lot, even aside from this book.
Yeah.
It's certainly something you play with. What is it that you like about it?
So if I'm being honest, initially when I was first kind of practicing with it and when I was really drawn to it, it was to help cover up my mistakes a lot of the time. And I kind of used it admittingly as a way to not draw things. Like if I could get away with blacking out a background, I would do that. And this was all stuff that, not to make excuses, but I was working full time in grad school, so it was kind of a time saver to tell a story in the way where I could get away with it. But then, kind of out of that, I kind of started to learn how to use the inks and the shadows to tell more of the story. So how to separate the characters from the shadows and how to use the shadows on the characters. And that started to become really interesting to me. So I started drawing more of the backgrounds and using the inks and the shadows to help tell the story that way, as opposed to just covering up my shitty mistakes.
Yes, there's something once you sort of get into it, like doing black and white art, like there's something addicting about just putting more black on the page and like just
Yeah.
trying to push more of the shadow work.
Yeah.
Is it safe to say that once you go black, you don't go back? Can I say
It's
that?
safe to say, my friend. It is very safe to say that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's carry on then.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So, Julius, let's sort of touch on the story a little bit here. I know you kind of gave us a kind of a light breakdown, but could you sort of give us, where you were at when you started creating this story, and like, just sort of maybe get into what we should expect coming out of this book?
Yeah. I'm a big, like what we were mentioning earlier, I'm a huge wrestling fan, right? So the stories that wrestling angles sometimes do is the David and Goliath archetype, the underdog, story of like the guy, the quote unquote good guy, right? Fighting from underneath against the quote unquote bad guy. And that's what I pretty much am channeling here in this story is pretty much, a woman taken against her will, by a group of terrible men, excuse me, and she has to fight from underneath to get to her freedom. And essentially that's pretty much, that sums up exactly what the story is. And on top of that too, I don't want to get too dark here, but human trafficking has been a major problem that's been kind of ignored a little bit, and I kind of wanted to shed a little bit of light on that with this story, but obviously not make it to the point where it's just preachy. It's just this is a story about survival. This is a story about action packed, how is she going to get out of this, and then the whole story is just about how she does it. And you're rooting for her the whole way through, and there's moments where you're doubting, like, oh, is she gonna make it? Is she not gonna make it? Like, oh my god, like what's gonna happen next? And it's just the story is still, as I guess, I don't want to say basic, but just your traditional action packed like story. Because I'm also a huge fan of the 80s action films, 80s actions, American films and stuff. And that's what I wanted to channel all of that into the story, and give readers something to hold on to and enjoy this ride.
I agree with like the terms of simplicity, like being just being something that like some of the best movies are like a premise that's been done 100 times, but it's all about the execution. If you can execute a simple idea really well, you can make it really memorable.
Yeah,
absolutely, 100%. And that's what I was going for with this story. And again, I want to give credit to my wife, because she always, like, whenever I would when I was redeveloping the story and changing the things and showing her what was going, what she was doing to get out of the situations. She always would remind me, like, no, that can't happen because, A, B, and C. you have to take into account her size. You have to take into account her ability to be able to step up against a male, towering figure. Like how she would do this instead. I would do this instead. That kind of deal.
Very.
And so I got a nice like perspective of like, oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. Holy crap! Like because when you were comfortable or accustomed to writing male characters, you're coming from the male perspective as a male, right? And with this one, it was a challenge, somewhat of a challenge, because I was like, oh yeah, that's right, duh. Like I wouldn't do that if I was a woman. So
the whole like 110-pound stopper kick to a guy of 300 pounds, and the 300-pound guy flying, that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah. I wanted to stay away from all that stuff. And so she was great to point things out like that. And you go, no, try this. Well, what about this? Oh, okay, that's interesting, and and continue on developing. But yeah, this story is. Go ahead.
No, the things like what I'm getting for what you're saying. So this is like a bloody Home Alone, basically.
kind of, not exactly, but yeah, very cool. Bloody Home Alone.
Yeah.
It's just basically a character, an individual who, like all of us, we don't want to be put in a place where we're enslaved, right? And pretty much live this horrible, terrible like life of I guess a thing, right? Because that's what you become when they put you in these situations, especially when it comes to human trafficking. You're dehumanized, and this flame, right? This spirit of like the I guess freedom just ignites in her, and just boom, she explodes. She literally explodes out of the of her captive situation. Like I said, I don't want to give away too much details of the story just yet. But that's essentially the gist of what this tale is.
Dude, it sounds awesome, man. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, she definitely goes up against some bears in this story.
Yeah, exactly.
Some big dudes.
So what would be normal? Because I mean, when you engage in that kind of activity, you hire enforcers who are gonna be like,
right.
You need the muscle.
You need the muscle, yeah.
That's right.
So is that what these guys are? This is a collection of goons, or is this a specific character? I'm really interested with this guy over here.
Yeah, I'll share the screen again because I have some updated character designs and a list of them.
Very nice. Cool.
Okay, so Julius mentioned that he's influenced by 80s action movies. So we tried to. It's a modern story. It takes place in present day, but we tried to add a little bit of 80s flair to it.
Yeah.
With the character designs. So this is Douglas. Julius, I don't know how much you want to say about the characters.
I'll give you a little brief summaries. Yeah, Douglas is essentially the I want to say the number 2 of this operation that they got going. These bad guys. We'll call them just bad guys for now. But yeah, he's the number 2 guy. He's the one who's kind of like the manager. He makes sure everything is running smoothly, that everyone's doing their thing, and he's the guy that you want to deal with as opposed to the main baddie, the leader of this operation. You want to deal with Douglas, not the. We'll show the leader in a minute, but yeah, this is the guy you want to deal with. There you go, Milo. You don't want to deal with Milo.
Oh man,
Milo is the leader of this operation.
Jesus.
Yeah, so
got a very Russian.
It's better. Yeah, he does look like a Russian gangster, doesn't he? But he's the guy you want him to just be happy. You don't want him to bring any bad news to him. Just make sure everything's set in place, everything's running smoothly, and we'll be good. But in this story, obviously,
I can say this because I'm safely in Central America, but he's giving me some like Suge Knight vibes. Yeah, Jesus, that's a scary dude, man.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think in the script, if I remember correctly, I think Julius described Milo as like a bear-like presence.
Yeah, Yeah.
So I was like, all right, cool. And that, like, I want him to be bulky and just huge and a lot of hair and.
Yeah.
Yes, I get the feeling this guy would have carried a pager in like the
Yeah.
81 or something.
Yeah.
And a what's that? The little sack, the little front sack. I forgot.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
Fanny
yeah.
pack.
The fanny
Yeah.
pack.
fanny
Fanny
pack. Thank
pack.
you. Yeah, like a funny
Oh my
fanny
God.
pack.
Oh, that's funny.
And yeah, the rest of these are part of the crew that's part of this operation, this illegal operation that got going in this the setting of the story. And
Right.
these are the ones who are that she has to fight against. She has to fight through and save herself from her situation.
Very cool. The thing is, like, the character designs are very distinct from one to another, so they don't become like, you know, like generic goons.
Yeah.
Which is something I really appreciate.
Thank
Because
you.
I mean, I'm not gonna say like I'm used to, but I kind of accept like the Gatchaman approach of all the guys wearing the same uniform and just dying.
Mm-hmm.
But here, like, we have a chance to, like, oh, he has a kid, he's dead. You know, so
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that, man. Very, very nice.
Thank you, man. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, some of the characters, like Milo, Julia said, you know, I want him to be look like a bear. But then the other ones, like some of the goons, I try to put a little bit of personality into the designs, just to even if they don't have that much of an important role, which a lot of them don't.
Mhm.
But I wanted to get a little bit of characterization across, even if they're in the book for like a panel or two.
Yeah.
Like this guy, you could tell he's kind of full of himself and a little bit aloof, and
Yeah.
there's a portion of the story that shows off a little bit.
Mhm.
This guy is, you know, kind of similar in a similar vein as this one, where he's a little bit aloof. Might have a little bit of a temper. This guy.
Would you describe any of them as Magoo?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I think, Ginge, these are the two that you pointed out in the pre-launch, because I separated their costumes a little bit because they are the ones who take her. I hope that it's not giving too much away, Julius, but
yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah.
we saw the panel.
Yeah, we
already
saw
in
that,
page
yeah.
3.
Yeah, we saw it, so yeah, that's fine.
So
I don't know how you call that. 'Cause down here we call that those nylons, like the whole, like what
The
they're using as
stockings?
a mask. The stockings.
Yeah.
That's very.
okay,
Pantyhose.
Yeah.
I'm glad that came across.
Yeah, it was a nice touch.
Thank you.
When I first saw them, I was like, all right, here we go. Now we're talking.
Yeah, dude.
You know,
So you're
and that
saying
was all
Grandma
Anthony
here?
too. That was all Anthony.
Sorry.
That wasn't me. That was him.
Nice.
He added that nice little touch.
Yeah, man,
The pantyhose touch. Very nice.
Yeah.
you know. But that's another thing from, you know, like thinking about putting it down on the panels. I knew the scene that Julius wrote, they had to really surprise her and grab her. So I wanted to add something that would show that motion, and these little tails are like the perfect thing to show the swoop.
Yeah,
when
give
they're
you
Absolutely.
moving around. So that
some
was kind of
overlapping
the decision
action
for that.
there.
Yeah.
And also to add to what I said earlier about noticing Anthony's art when he contacted me on Twitter, that's what I noticed from his samples was his distinction of the characters. Like right off the bat, I was like, wow, this guy actually draws like characters like uniquely each. Like they're not these like what do you call those non-player description or whatever?
NPCs.
Yeah, NPCs. Not trying NPCs in the background. He's actually like he actually goes all in, and that's what's always important. At least for a comic book writer like myself, well, I always look for artists who can do that, who are able to do that, and not only are able to do that, but enjoy doing it, because that's important. Like you mentioned earlier, Pedro, if the artist is not excited or looking forward to drawing the story, it's going to show up on the page, and it's going to ruin the experience. Not only is it going to ruin the book in terms of production wise, but when the reader gets it, it's going to ruin it for the reader as well. They're going to sense it, and it's going to hurt your book. So this was important that that the artist that I hired for this story would get that, and that's why Anthony was the one I chose to work with.
Oh,
Dude,
thanks,
I knew
man.
he would
very
give me
good
that.
choice, man.
Thank you.
Very good choice. Because, dude, like you can see the heart. Like, I again, I don't want to bash anyone, but you can tell when the artist is like dilating it in, like going by the numbers.
Right.
Right.
I don't call it NPC. I call it like generic comic book face. Like everybody
Oh.
has a heroic face. Even the villains, like you notice that, you know.
So a GCF.
Yeah, exactly.
Comic face. That's funny.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, man.
Anthony,
Yes,
let me
sir.
let me ask you a little bit about your character design process. Do you have like a list of things you check before you sort of start detailing it in? Is like silhouette one that you always sort of check off, or is there do you just sort of do it and then go from there, or how do you design a character, buddy?
Oh, interesting question. Yeah, the silhouette thing, that's always been like a popular exercise, even throughout my schooling, and I hear a lot of people talking about it. I never got into it. Like, I don't know. I understand it, and it has its value for sure. Um, but when I'm designing characters, I I think I think like a writer first. Like I think about I write down their characteristics first, and I think about um, I don't want any GFCs. Like I want them to be distinct. And I want them, you know what I mean? Like so I try to think of people I see in my everyday life, and um, I walk my dog every morning, so I'm always like trying to pay attention to the characters that I see in my neighborhood, and maybe basing
Nice.
them off that a little bit, and also like fashion comes into play too, which I think is sometimes underutilized, but when it's used correctly, it helps build the characters and it helps distinguish them from one another. So
Definitely.
sometimes I'll admit, and Julius can attest, like creating the characters does slow me down a little bit, but it I think it makes for a stronger end product, and I think um, it comes across better in the book, in the story, and ultimately like it takes a little bit of work beforehand to do the designs, but I've tried like not thinking about the characters and just drawing them in the panels, and it almost like it freezes me up. So
Yeah.
because then I'm having to think about what they're supposed to look like in the final art, which I don't want to do. So that's
Yeah,
why I try to
exactly.
do as much as possible beforehand.
Yeah, that would be like two
Um,
jobs at the same time. So yeah, very
yeah,
clever. Very
I
clever.
think you
but
sort of touched on something interesting there, real quick, if I can.
yeah,
Um, about the fashion, about it being memorable. I think we sort of started off this conversation talking about Scott Steiner and his very memorable coif.
All right. Yeah.
yeah.
I
There you
think
go.
I think we could call it the Steiner Effect. Really, just
Nice.
like
Bro,
memorable fashion.
we're
Yeah.
coming with new shit
That's
every
awesome.
day here at the
There you
Ginge
go.
Father show. Yeah.
I'll let y'all
That's
have that
awesome.
one for free. You can take it with you. Okay.
But yeah, man. Even and then like the mechanics of the story come into play too when designing the characters. Like these are Angela's friends who are at the club, so I think that's the only time we see them. So club attire is appropriate. But then when I was designing Angela at the club, I was like, all right, I know she gets taken like as soon as she gets home from the club, so she's gonna be kicking ass in her club clothes. So I don't want her like jumping around and kicking people with a dress on because
Right.
that would just be silly,
Yeah.
So
It's
I wanted
another
to
kind of story. Yeah. Just,
I wanted to give her a little bit more of an athletic appearance with the clothes, but also it can make it sexy too because she is at a nightclub in Miami.
yeah.
So that was the decision for that
Nice.
look. But yeah, and
Yeah.
my favorite artist of all time is Tim Sale.
Oh,
I
yeah.
absolutely love his work, and I think that's where straying away from the GFCs came from because he makes everybody different too in his work.
Very nice.
It's hard to find like two characters that look the same in his books, which has always stood out to me. So I think a little bit of emulating that has come into play.
Yeah, I mean that's not a bad goal to shoot for, really. Just out of all the sort of things you could try to tighten up, as a personal
Yeah,
goal.
yeah, for
Very
sure.
nice. So Julius, I'd like to sort of ask you a little bit about the collaborative process for you as a writer, specifically your scripting. So, are you? Could you talk a little bit about your scripting process and sort of how you, when you hand it off to Anthony, kind of what your expectations might be?
Um, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I was trying to break into the industry, and for the past 10+ years, and during that time, I learned a lot about the do's and don't do's when you the do's and don'ts. I'm sorry, I should say instead of how to give a script to an artist, because I've had a lot of experiences where I would overwrite stuff and overdo things where it kind of took the artist like aback because I was being too controlling. But then at the same time, then I did the other approach, the way opposite effect, which is I kind of loosely wrote stuff, and then the artist would just continuously ask me, "What does that mean? What do you want?" And then it's just a mess. So I finally found the perfect balance, and now the approach is, I asked them, "Do you prefer a detailed script, or do you prefer like a Marvel way kind of loose script where you get to decide what you want?" And Anthony was like, "Yeah, let's go with that," And I was like, "All right, cool, that's fine." So as long as we're in agreement, and then I write the script loosely, very like I was not vague descriptions, but descriptions of like things that occur, and then I let the artist kind of direct, I guess, the book, and then they give me back the thumbnails, and then we do the editing process during the thumbnail stage, where it's okay, let's move this panel here, let's change this, that, and we slowly I guess mold the comic book story to where we're both happy with it, and then once we're both happy with it, then we finalize it and then move on to the next batch of pages. And I think that's been very effective in terms of keeping on schedule, in terms of also excitement as well, because a lot of the time when I do write something, and like in our case, in this situation, Anthony comes back and he's, what about this? What do you think about this? And then he pitches it to me, and I go, "Yeah, let's go with that. That's a lot better. Let's do that instead." And when you're both like in the flow, and you're both working together, neatly and like almost like a well-oiled machine, then the process it's fun. It's a fun process. When you're looking at the product and you're going, okay, we got something here, and that's the approach I have when it comes to writing comics, because comic books is supposed to be a collaborative effort. Writers and artists, when they're working together, then I say the book comes out way better than as opposed to the writer being a bit too much or the artist being a bit too much. Like there's constant clashing of egos because they can agree on something. But if you just if you kind of leave your ego at the door and just go, okay, this is not your baby, you got to let it go, and someone else is going to read it and interpret it the way they think should go, and then just compromise. Just okay, well, one for me, one for you, type of deal.
Yeah, dude, that's one of the things I want to push on the community. Like just the fact that we're all weird because we're artistically inclined,
right?
Doesn't mean we have to be weirdos.
Right.
Exactly.
You have to learn how to like live and let live. It's a give and take. It's a collaborate, and things grow.
Exactly, Eric. Exactly. Let go your ego.
Yeah, let go your ego.
Let go your ego.
Yeah, man.
Say hello to the chat real quick.
What's going on, guys?
Yeah, Rex Doom. He's always fun.
Rex.
He's volunteered you, Gambino, for some movie trivia.
Movie trivia? It's gonna be boring. I'll tell you that much.
Okay. Let's see. We got Joe Catapano in the house.
What's up, Joey?
What's up, Joe?
Yeah.
What's up, man?
He's known as Putin in some parts. I don't know if you remember that. That disgraceful tweet when they showed like a Vladimir Putin picture and put it right next to a young Catapano picture, and it's the same dude.
Oh,
I was scared.
God.
I was scared for a second.
Whoa, can you imagine?
Yeah, dude.
What were you going to say, Anthony? I'm sorry. Go ahead, buddy.
Oh, no, that's okay. It was, this was my first time working with a writer. Every other story I've done, even though it hasn't been published, I've done a bunch of short stories like when I was in grad school and stuff. It was always like I was always the control freak because I had the reins of everything. I was the writer, the artist. If it needed lettering, I was the letterer, the colorist. So I was kind of hesitant and kind of nervous to work with a writer because I am kind of a control freak when it comes to my work. And then when Julius asked me what type of script I prefer, I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, this guy knows how to work with artists. Thank God. And then, yeah, like I started submitting the thumbnails and it was very like to the point, like these panels, great, no notes. This panel, can you change this? Can you do this? This panel, I was hoping for something a little bit like this. I included a little like sketch to hopefully. I was like, holy shit, this guy's great. Like this is. And he said, he was like, I hope like you don't take offense to it or anything. And I was like, dude, it's gonna make the project better. Like that's what it's about. Like I know you don't mean anything bad by it. I know it's not ego. Your purpose and your intention is to tell a good story, and that's mine. So like let's just keep doing that. I'm fine with it. So it's been a really, really great process so far. And like you said, same thing with the writing. If that's just what he said. Like, what about this, or how about this, or what if we do this?
Gambino, have you done advertising before? Before comic books, like working on a.
No, I mean, my day job is a graphic designer, so it kind of, but not advertising.
That's the thing. Like, I come from the advertising world, and I've met many a creative that comes like, can you make it better? Like, how?
Okay, so that's in every industry. I mean,
exactly. It's like,
I'm in the publishing industry, and I get the same thing from trust me.
So
or I get can you change this? Well, why? I was like, okay, so you just want to change it so you can get your little idea across that you haven't put any thought into.
Like I actually get that. I actually get that out of ego, but I've gotten like questions like, "That's not the blue I had in mind."
Oh gosh.
Okay.
End of message. It's like, okay, which blue?
Yeah.
Just send me samples. I'll let you know, and that way, like, dude, we're not in America. I have access to Hitman. They're a phone call away. Please let me know what blue you want. So yeah, dude. I don't
know. Sure you want another blue?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, not in like not in a dickish way, but I think it's important at a certain level when you encounter people like that, like you can only give them so much leeway, and at a point you have to kind of show people what they want. Without being told what they want, because a lot of times they don't know, and that's why I think
they called you. I know that's why they called you, but
it's our job as artists and storytellers to give the people the best product that we can, so that we show people what a good product is, what a good story is.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely, and I think that's important. That was something that I had to learn the hard way throughout my years making comics. Was realizing, okay, what's the best approach to writing comics? Because like Gambino was saying, when I asked him what kind of script you want, and he was just like relieved. That's because again, I experienced things where I wrote a detailed script and the artist was not reacting to it, and I was like, does he like it? Does he not like it? Does he not like the story? Like, oh shit! Like, am I in trouble here? And then I found out later it was because I wrote too strict script, and I didn't give the artist enough leeway to have fun, figuring out panel layouts and what have you. Because I was panel 1, small box, medium shot, like just really detailed, that kind of stuff. But now I've learned that, okay, I ask first, and then if they say, oh yeah, give me a detailed script, I'll do that. Or they say, oh, give me a loose script like the Marvel way, okay, cool, I can do that too. And it's been great. It's been smooth sailing so far.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
And I think that's the best approach. That's the best approach to all the writers out there, all the aspiring comic book writers out there who are thinking about creating your own, comic book. Do it, but always like leave your create a second lane in your little highway, and that goes both ways. because if you don't do that, then you're gonna have a bad relationship with your artist, and vice versa too. You gotta give yourself leeway here, so that way, and also compromise and realize, okay, instead of saying, "Oh, I like it" or "I don't like it," just I use the words like, "Oh, that works." That works. Let's go with that. That does work, a lot better. Or that doesn't work. Let's not do that. It's not gonna, fit with what we're trying to do here. And then you just move on, and that's it. No ego bruising, nothing.
Yeah. Yep. They have to understand that you're both at the service of the story.
Exactly.
And it's not
really
personal.
It's the boss. Yeah.
It's not personal. Exactly. That's not personal. Don't take it personal.
Beautiful point, Julius. With that works. That's a very important note for aspiring artists. But yeah,
absolutely.
It's same thing with artists too. Anyone who's thinking about becoming a storyteller of any kind, don't. I mean, there's always going to be a little bit of ego, but like for me, I had to tell previous stories all on my own so I can learn how to work with other people. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's important to learn what you like and what you don't like and what works for you and what doesn't work for you. If I'm doing a personal story and writing a story before I draw it, I'm writing a Word document that's like a book, that's like a novel first, because I have to think out everything. But when you're working with other people, I like Julius' script, I like it very like loose and leave me some room for imagination.
Yeah.
A lot of the thinking's kind of already been done for you somewhat at that point. I mean, you put a lot of thought into what you're going to draw, but a lot of like the sort of heavy lifting is off your shoulders, you might feel like at that point.
Oh, 100%.
Very nice. So that's a nice little segue. We've got about 10 or so minutes left of the show here. Let's kind of talk about what kind of book are we getting here? Like how many pages and how far along are y'all? Do you have a launch date yet? Those old chestnuts.
Yeah, we do. It's looking to be about 70 pages of story. Yeah, 70 pages around there, of actual story and black and white. And we do have a launch date. It's going to be June 20th.
Woo!
Nice.
Yeah, June 20th. So in a few months, we'll launch this, and obviously you guys will get the detailed summary of what the story is about, and more pages that we're going to show on the campaign. And it's going to be great. Like I said, this is action. This is an action story, one shot. So there ain't going to be no book 2 or book 3. This is it. It's a one shot deal. Once the story's over, it's over. It's done. And beginning, middle, and no cliffhanger, none of that stuff. It's a closed story, which I think in the crowdfunding age, I think especially if you're upcoming, if you're new, if you're established, and you could pull it off, obviously. But if you are new and starting out, I highly recommend you start out with one shot books, so that way you could build your relationship with readers who don't know who you are, and you don't burn yourself out in terms of like fulfilling your campaign, because it is heavy work. It's a lot of work to fulfill crowdfunding campaigns, and if you're not careful, you might bite off more than you can chew. And we've seen example after example with that, where books are late, and that's fine, because I know things are they happen and whatnot. But like for me, when the Ghetto Dragon was released and put out there, part of me wished it was a little bit more successful. But in hindsight, I'm glad that it did find the success that it did. It was relatively. I think it was only I got about 80 backers. But it was a nice, I guess, school of hard knocks of going, oh crap, I gotta pay for like the postage and the Gemini mailers and packages. Like, oh dude, and it wasn't overwhelming. It was just like, I couldn't imagine if I had like 300 or 400 backers. Like, holy crap, that'd be a lot of work. And so in a way, it was like, okay, I'm glad that it was like that, because now I'm ready and prepared for this one, the Vigilant Fury comic book story.
Dude, that's a nice look under the hood, man, because that's exactly what I thought with my campaign. Like, I only have like 60 something back, and I'm already funded with Tropical Magics.
Yeah,
and I'm actually, oh, thank you, man. I was shitting nails, but by the end of week 2, like, oh my god, this is gonna be, but whatever. Like now, I feel that this is something I can manage and I can learn from it. And it
Right.
makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
Exactly.
Perfect sense, Julius. 'Cause if I'm like a mega head and I have like 1,000 guys, like I would go
Oh,
nuts.
thank you, Joe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would go nuts. Like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I would need help at the time. So,
Exactly.
So yeah, it's
Exactly.
longevity. Keep working, keep putting books out. Like I'm not doing a finite work with my book, but I really enjoy finite stories. Because I mean, we're all seeing like the Marvel and DC example of making like this huge universe, and then you see like
Right.
the Ricardo verse and the Manolo
Yeah.
verse,
Right.
and dude, like those things takes years to build. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
dude, let's just take little steps. The community's formed. People are interested in what everyone is doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, start
Oh,
small and help it grow. You know?
absolutely, 100%, Pedro. And also, I want to tell the people watching that if you sign up to pre-launch, you'll receive a print of the poster, I guess, of the story. You can't really look at it through there, but do you still have your? There you go.
Yeah, this print.
Nice. That bad boy right there. I'm still looking for the printers to give me a nice size, so that way you guys have a nice little size of this poster you can put on your wall. But yeah, if you sign up to the pre-launch, you'll get that. But once we launch it, that won't be available for the backers. So only the pre-launch people who sign up are going to get that print.
I know Mixum's kind of hit or miss with a lot of people in terms of whether it went their way or not. I had a decent experience with them, and in terms of like prints, you can get, even though this is Anthony's prints and he didn't use Mixum, I got a print from Mixum at the same size, and
Mixum,
really,
okay.
Yeah, really great quality, and also it was like $25 for 100 of them. So
oh, nice. Okay,
Mixum's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll check them out. Thank you for that.
Hey, Julius, can we talk a little bit more about like the tiers and stuff for the campaign?
Yeah, if you want.
And what we're gonna offer.
Yeah.
Might as
Yeah,
well
we'll
let people know now.
Yeah, we'll give the people an idea of what we're gonna do. Yeah. Let's do that.
All right, cool. So, like Julius said, the story is going to be about 70 pages, and we are going to have a stretch goal, and the stretch goal will be a deluxe edition of the book, and the deluxe edition will be all the character designs you saw, plus it's going to be all behind the scenes stuff. So all the process work, samples of the script, sample pages of going from thumbnail to pencils to inks to lettering. And that would be about an extra 30-ish pages. So maybe a little more depending on how much we want to include in there. And that's always been the stuff that excites me as an artist, but also as a reader too. To get to see that behind the scenes look, and like I love picking up trades with all that stuff in the back. So that's going to be our stretch goal, and then the perks. Since Julius and I are still kind of relatively new, we didn't want to do too much merch or things really, because we're focusing on the story. So the perks are going to be a lot of service-based perks. We're going to offer original art from the book. We're going to offer 9x12 commissions by me, sketch cards like I did in the sketchbook campaign. And also going to try something new and I'm going to offer up logo designs for any creators who are looking to get logos for their new projects. And each of those perks will come with a copy of the book too. So you can order the book by itself, or you can get some original art or work with a copy of the book also.
Very nice.
So that's kind of what we're thinking of.
Yes, that's actually a really smart way to get out there and basically sort of do some logos as well. I mean, you did our logo for Spells and Superheroes. You're definitely, I've seen some of the stuff you've done for Marvel. It's very pulpy, very, very fun.
That's always a treat when I get to do stuff like that. And I do it in my own work too. So anytime I get to put that for
that's another thing. Like putting your logo expertise out there. I was having this conversation with, I don't know, one of the many shows that was in, like we have to see this indie thing. Thank you, dog.
These dogs are going crazy. Sounds like Julius is getting abducted by an alien.
Yeah, dude. No, the thing, like that's the fishmonger. His horn affects the dog. The dog howls, and my ID is gone. So,
Oh my
okay.
Oh,
Are you alright, Deb? Okay. So, what I was trying to say is, like, dude, we have to see this indie comic movement as the gold rush.
Yeah.
So, there's some people who are gonna make like the mega bucks, and those two guys who strike gold. But
Right.
people need shovels, people need carts, and with the doghouse, people need carts, people need tools to go and look for the gold. So logos, trailer making. That's
Absolutely.
the second industry that we need to make.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yes,
mute.
sir.
I'm gonna mute you guys.
Okay.
All right.
He's right. No, Pedro's right. Like you do need the tools, and you know the great thing about crowdfunding is it gave indie creators an opportunity to showcase their stuff and not have to rely on submission. You know, blind submission waiting periods where you submit to a publisher that has open submissions, and then you have to wait months, and then you have to deal with rejection. You have to deal with all that stuff from individuals who may think they know more, but
Right.
the great thing about crowdfunding is now you get to a direct connection with readers and backers, and they get to tell you if you're good enough or not. And I prefer that personally
Oh,
because
100%.
you never know, right? You just never know. Like Sopranos, like for instance, The Sopranos. We were talking about, you know, Gambino here. They shopped around that show, and they were turned down by every major network until HBO was like, yeah, okay, we'll try this one out, and the rest is history. I'm sure the other networks were like, damn, who said no to that show?
Yeah, he's fine.
Stranger Things got denied by I think 15 different networks.
Yeah, see, there you go.
And then look what happened. Like,
yeah,
you just,
it blew up. It's huge.
Yeah,
huge.
And like Julius said, man, like, and this is you're getting a glimpse into my personality now. I don't like permission. Okay, I don't want.
Right.
I don't care. Okay, it doesn't stop. I don't care. I don't.
Yeah, right.
I don't like. There's that cliche saying, "Ask for forgiveness, not permission."
Right. Right.
I like that much better. But like, and you know, rejection is great sometimes, especially when you're just starting out and you're learning. That's all fine and well. But at a certain point, it's like I would much rather let you guys decide if you want a product than somebody I don't really care about who's probably not even going to read the freaking thing.
Right.
So it's, you know, like Julia said, this crowdfunding thing is incredible. We as creators appreciate you guys, you know, letting us on the show and talk about our product, and the people listening and watching even more for giving a shit and for giving us a chance. Like, they make it all possible. So
yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you guys, and thank you everybody watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, gentlemen. A teacup.
Yeah. All right.
Skull. My espresso.
Okay.
I need to get a
New
couple
Jersey
myself.
over here, Anthony Gambino. Okay. All right, guys. So, is there any final thoughts? Anything we want to add? We've got talking about the launch date in June. Was it?
Yeah, June 20th is the launch date.
Awesome.
You know, join us then, and we'll be on as many live streams as we can to promote and advertise this campaign.
Okay.
Yeah. If you guys are tired of us, we'll tired of us, we'll come on again in a couple months.
Yeah,
maybe.
there you go.
The doors are open, man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that.
You guys are really great interviewers. It facilitates this process much better. So thank you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're a lot of fun.
I'm floating now.
All right. Well, so we've kind of do this thing now at the end of the show where it started off as a joke, but now it's just sort of become my thing. I'm going to be kicking you guys from the show here, but I'd like you to just sort of start talking about things, whatever you'd like to talk about, and I'll be like kicking you in the middle of speaking. It's not to be rude. It's just it's a tradition now at this point. So, guys, is there anything you'd like to say before you go?
Yeah.
Julius?
I would prefer that you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
That's rude, man.
Great sports. Anthony Gambino, Julius Freeman. a solid team, and definitely looking forward to Vigilant Fury. And yeah, a lot of fun. Thank you, Rex, for that. Glad to hear. Oh, we forgot about the movie trivia. Damn.
God damn it. We suck.
Gambino slipped past this one, but
yeah,
maybe next time tune in June, and maybe we'll do a special movie trivia Vigilant Fury episode. Maybe we can do like an 80s themed trivia.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there we go. Boom, there's a plan. So let me see. Next week we have we have Death Metal Luke next week, so that'll be fun.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yep, talking about comic conventions and sort of comic book shops. He's a comic shop owner, so
the future of shops and whatnot. So yeah, it's gonna be intense.
Okay, boys. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we will catch y'all next week on the Ginge and Pedro Show. And signing out.
And we're out.